I would like to call the May 14th, 2012 meeting of the Board of Education to order. First item, the invocation that will be given tonight by Chelsea Heflin, one of our student school board members.
We ask that you pause tonight for a moment of silence to remember all the teachers and students that are wrapping up their year and beginning final exams and EOGs, and also all the graduating seniors.
Thank you. Would you all please rise now for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, tonight our school spotlight is on J.P. Knapp Early College High School. Ms. Dowdy.
Thank you. Good evening, Superintendent Scholler, Chairman Dr. Dobney, members of the board. On behalf of J.P. Knapp Early College, it's my pleasure to come before you tonight and introduce Ms. Sarah Adams, our 9th grade Earth Science teacher. And accompanying Ms. Adams this evening, we have students Sky Poshar, Laurel Harrington, and J.D. Elliott. Ms. Adams and her students have been working on projects showcasing some outstanding work in alternative energy, which we know is an up-and-coming field in the workforce. All 9th graders have recently been working on projects, and tonight we'd like to share a little bit with you about their work. At this time, I'll turn it over to Ms. Adams.
Good evening. As Ms. Dowdy said, I'm Sarah Adams. I'm the Earth and Environmental Science teacher over at J.P. Knapp. Over the last couple of weeks, the students have been learning about an environmental studies unit. They've participated in debates about farming techniques. They've analyzed and wrote persuasive essays about the legislation on hydraulic fractionalization. They've also examined Earth's carrying capacity and their ecological footprints. They created ideas about how to conserve packaging on products. And lastly, they compared energy sources that could be used instead of fossil fuels. Today, Laurel, Sky, and JD are going to present 2 samples of projects that all students had to complete, research, accomplish, and create within 2 class periods. Up first for you is JD Elliott.
Hi, my name is J.D. Elliott. I'm in Miss Adams' science class, and I did my project on geothermal energy. Well, to start out, I apologize for my voice. It's kind of going, but you know. My project is on geothermal energy. Geothermal energy is taking Earth's heat and turning it into electricity that we can use. Geothermal energy is a renewable energy source because of the heat constantly being produced from within Earth. Geothermal energy is energy that is produced by heat from within Earth. We can recover this heat as steam or hot water and use it to heat buildings or generate electricity. For geothermal energy to be produced, a steam turbine is needed. This steam turbine has a shaft and fan-like blades that are rotated by steam and pressure. After the blades are rotated, the shaft is connected to an electric generator. The electric generator captures energy as electricity. So as this is a smaller model of my geothermal power plant, and it takes Earth's energy and goes into a box that turns it into heat, and the heat goes up into another power box and turns a fan turbine and goes into the generator, which initially makes electricity. Geothermal plants must be placed in certain areas. Areas like the coast or mountains can't sustain a geothermal power plant. The coast has too much water underground, so we can't drill. And for the mountains, it's too hard to drill into Earth's crust. But areas like Texas, South Dakota, and North Dakota can sustain geothermal plants very well. The largest group of geothermal plants is located in the geysers. The geysers is a geothermal field located in California, and the second largest is in the Philippines. In 2010, the United States led the world in geothermal electricity production with 3,086 milliwatts from 77 different power plants. Some disadvantages and advantages of geothermal energy would be, so we can start with disadvantages so we can end with pros, advantages. Some disadvantages would be it may cause global warming or acid rain or greenhouse gases, which initially do cause global warming, and different types of environmental issues, and can trigger earthquakes. But the pros, advantages, would be it's renewable, it's environmentally friendly, it requires no fuel and saves money, it has many different uses and unlimited supplies. I personally think geothermal energy is one of the better types of energy sources because once we install an geothermal energy plant, we can constantly use the energy, and it's an expensive start-out cost, but initially it creates more energy and saves more money than the initial cost was. So that's my project. Thank you for listening.
My name's Guy.
My name's Laurel Harrington. And in our recent unit, we analyzed alternative energy sources and were assigned a problem to limit fossil fuel consumption. For this project, we chose to evaluate solar energy. The site we chose to target was a typical 4-person home in Currituck, North Carolina. We chose this area because Currituck is a typically dry and sunny place with much of the land area exposed. Currituck also has a low average cloud cover. Our specific product we chose to evaluate was a solar oven because it was a great way to reduce CO2 emissions and cut down on the energy bill.
When looking at ways to conserve energy, our main focus was what can we do to keep it cheap. And our solar oven is made of about 90% recycled material. The only thing that we went out and bought was the aluminum foil to line the box with. And in the United States and industrialized countries, things that we use, everyday household objects, count for 30% of the electricity, and of that, 12% is used by stoves and ovens. So if we were to use, say everybody had to use a solar oven when the conditions outside were okay, it could cut down about 30% of the world's electricity bill, and help us in the energy crisis and things like that. For our class, what we did was we actually cooked a s'more, and it worked. So what we did was we set this up to reflect the sun's rays actually onto the s'more, and we finished our project in like 10 minutes, and the chocolate had just begun to melt. It was getting kind of squishy. So we went inside to listen to other projects and came about 30 minutes later, and the s'more was actually really good. So.
And it was successful. And how we achieved this was in the way that we assembled this project. We took 2 boxes, one being a little bit smaller than the other, and we placed the smaller one inside the larger one. And if you can tell, it left about an inch of space. Within that space, we insulated it with multiple recycled items, such as newspapers, old papers from our binders that we were never going to use or throw away. And we even threw like a couple notebooks in there, just anything we could find that would recycle and would be a good thing to insulate it with. We then layered it with 2 layers of aluminum foil to ensure that every corner was covered and none of the box was exposed to increase the amount of reflections, like with how the thermal energy was reflected all around it. And that's why the entire inside is layered. We also chose to use a metal pot to help with the reflections. And we then took a piece of plexiglass, which was also recycled because it was from an old picture frame. And we used the plexiglass because the thermal energy could easily be reflected through it since it is clear. It also holds in the heat and insulates it further.
And like as with everything, there are some pros and cons. The pros is it's really cheap. It didn't take that long to make. We did it on the weekend. It took like an hour and a half for everything to dry and set. There's absolutely no CO2 emissions. It makes really yummy s'mores. And the energy we use to do it is renewable, so it can be replaced within like decades, years and months.
Some cons. There were very few cons, and absolutely none of them had any negative effects on our environment at all. They included the ability to use depends on the weather. For instance, if it were raining or cloudy outside, you obviously can't throw a solar oven out there and expect to get a s'more. It needs to be sunny so that the light can be reflected and the thermal energy can be transferred.
It's sometimes expensive. That's if you purchase one yourself. Makeshift solar ovens, they're much cheaper, and they're also made from recycled materials, which thus reduces your ecological footprint. They cook meals very slow, and they're not very effective at making larger meals because of their size and how long it will take to cook an entire meal. And
there are environmental factors that affect the solar oven, like we mentioned before. You can't expect it to put outside right now in this condition and it to cook a meal for you. It's not hot enough. There's not enough sun rays. And also it affects the environment in a positive way, like we mentioned before. There's no CO2 emissions.
Like when you compare it to a stove or a charcoal grill outside, they emit CO2 and there's smoke that comes from them and everything. With this, there's nothing. The most that would emit from it is steam if you're boiling something, and that's nothing. But in conclusion, we thought that a solar oven would be a great way to reduce
CO2 emissions.
and fossil fuels.
It was also very cheap, like we mentioned before, and it was really easy. So if you're looking for ways to reduce energy, go towards a solar oven.
Next to your stove. Don't tell Willis we'll be installing these stoves.
Well, our food service director is giving a presentation later on. And cook some s'mores.
Not on that. One more. Thank you for your patience. Thank you.
Ms. Adams, JD, Guy, Laurel, thank you very much for your presentations.
Yeah.
Okay, before we leave J.P. Knapp Early College High School, Ms. Dowdy, did you want to tell them when graduation is?
Absolutely. I came and spoke before the board much earlier on in the year about our different calendar, and that means that we are graduating. Our first graduating class, the founding members of J.P. Knapp Early College, will be graduating, and commencement exercises next Friday, May 25th at 7 p.m. at College of the Albemarle's Community Auditorium. We invite everyone to come out and help support those seniors who did venture out, take a leap of faith, and join the very first class at J.P. Knapp Early College. So we invite everybody to come out and join us for that special day.
Thank you. Now, on another note about the J.P. Knapp Early College High School graduation, usually the chairman of the board hands the diplomas to the students. I have asked, and they have said yes, for Ms. Innes and Mr. Barnes to hand the diplomas to the students because they've been here since the inception of the early college high school, and I think it was only fitting that they present the diplomas to the students. So thank you. Okay, next, public comment session. First, Rhonda James Davis, student recognition.
Heard somebody say again, but this is one of Currituck County Middle's finest. Dr. Dobney, Ms. Scholler, members of the board, good evening to everyone. I'm here tonight because back in the fall, I think it was in October, because of Mary Kate's efforts in organizing the Pediatric Kids Walk for Cancer fundraising event, I had nominated her for her volunteerism. We found out back in, I think, February that she, although wasn't one of the finalists, but she was one of the distinguished finalists. At that time, Ms. Scholler came down and presented her certificate. I think that was signed from President Obama. And tonight we have been coordinating to have a representative to come to present her with the medallion. At this time, I'm going to ask the Honorable Mr. Roger McLean to come up. Roger McLean is former mayor of Elizabeth City, North Carolina. He's been with Prudential Financial Professional for a professional financial professional for 15 years. He's a current member of the $1 Million Roundtable. Also with him, he has his wife of 31 years, Miss Wanda McLean. Thank you for coming with him. And he has his one of 9 granddaughters with him, Mercedes. He has 6 children. This time, Mr. McLean, if you would come up.
Well, I say 32 years.
Okay, I'm just reading what he wrote.
Good afternoon, commissioners. Got to put some glasses on here. First of all, it's a great pleasure for me to be here today for a very special and important presentation. In a Prudential Financial, in partnership with the National Association of Secondary School Principals, sponsors a nationwide awards program to honor young Americans who care about their world and actively look for ways to improve it. We do this because we believe that if we are going to meet the many challenges we face today, we are all going to have to get more involved in making our communities and our planet a better place to live. Thousands of young people across the country were considered for Prudential Spirit of Community Awards this year. And from all of these, a select few in each state and the District of Columbia have been selected for special recognition. Here in North Carolina, I'm delighted to report that one of our distinguished finalists in this year's program is your own. I had Miriam, but she told me I better call her Mary Kate Morgan. And at this time, I'm going to ask her mother, Amy, and her dad, Mr. Morgan, and Rhonda to please join me up here as I make this presentation. I've known this young lady here for a long time, and she's a good principal in Currituck. We're going to move her back to Pasquotank in the not too distant future. But Mary Kate has been singled out from all of the high school middle level students in North Carolina for an extraordinary achievement, not in academics, not in sports or the arts, but in service to her community. Mary Kate, your commitment and achievement represent the highest ideals of service to one's community. We are extremely proud of you, and we salute you as a 2012 Prudential Spirit of Community Distinguished Finalist. To signify this honor, I would like to present you with the Prudential Spirit of Community Bronze Medallion for Outstanding Community Service. Now, I don't know whether everybody knows what you did or not, but I better let them know some of the things that you did, okay? I got to find it here first. Let's see. I know that she organized a walkway. She helped to raise $30,000 for kids who are struggling with cancer. And this is pretty good stuff. She helped raise $30,000 to benefit pediatrics cancer research as the chair of the North Carolina Kids Walk for Kids with Cancer. Mary Kate started the North Carolina Walk, a sister event to the original walk that is held in New York to honor her best friend. That deserves a round of applause, I tell you. Now, I know this is not the Olympics, but this is pretty close. I have this medallion here for you that I wish to present to you on behalf of Prudential. And let your mom and dad, y'all want to put this on for me?
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I also wish to thank the commissioners here again for giving us this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. Mary Kate, like I said when you originally gave your presentation, you ought to be very proud of what you're doing You know, this world's a better place because of what you've done.
Thank you.
And Amy and Mel, you've raised an outstanding young lady. Thank you once again. Okay, next, Kiba Baldwin, employee recognition.
Good evening, Dr. Domney, board members, Ms. Scholler. I stand for you today to bring some recognition to Currituck County Schools Transportation Department. Back on May 3rd, we had a district-wide school bus rodeo. Just a little bit about what a school bus rodeo is. Taking our big yellow buses through an obstacle course in a parking lot that tells about driving in a straight line, backing up, railroad crossings. There's one that they do called a diminishing clearance parallel parking. I don't know, how good are you guys parallel parking with your regular car, learning how to parallel park with a yellow school bus? So we've had one of our own, Mr. Roy Harvey, who works at Shawboro Elementary, compete in our district level, which that day had about 38 candidates, and Mr. Harvey was one of 10 to qualify for our state rodeo in Raleigh next week. And so at this point in time, I just want to acknowledge him and his good work that he did, that he was one of 10 representatives from our region that will be going to compete next week in Raleigh. So I think they're going to 5 districts, with 10 of those people, 50 people competing. So we wish him all the best. And hopefully I will be back in June giving you even better news for the work that he's going to do at this rodeo. So congratulations to Mr. Harvey.
Thank you. Okay, next, Sandy Kinzel, kindergarten registration.
Good evening, Dr. Dobney, Ms. Scholler, members of the board. I'd like to take this opportunity to just remind our community about kindergarten registration. It's been a little slow this year, but we'd like to put the word out that we are still accepting kindergartners for next year, and the sooner we can get them enrolled, the better our plans will be as far as planning for staffing. We will be having a district meeting this week on May 16th from 6 to 7:30 at the high school. Each individual school has held a Set for School event that has allowed parents to bring their children in and get acclimated to the school while the kids are still here, and it has been very successful in the years past, and this year was no exception. We have, in addition to those individual school meetings, we've held a district meeting for parents that work and can't get away, so we are scheduling this in the evening, again on May 16th from 6 to 7:30. We've also made arrangements to have staff on hand for a last chance early kindergarten registration. So we encourage folks to bring all of their necessary paperwork, proof of residency, birth certificates and the like, and come meet up with staff and get your child registered at the high school from 5 to 6 o'clock prior to our Set for School meeting. So thank you for the opportunity to share that with the staff and the community.
Thank you. Okay, next, Matthew Krause.
Good evening. I'm out here this evening to thank you for giving me the wonderful opportunity to be interviewed for the student board member. Thank you so much.
Thank you for applying. Okay, next, approval of the agenda. Before I ask for approval, I'd like to delete item B5, selection of student board member, and we are going to do that in June rather than at this meeting. Glad you're here to hear that, Matthew. Do I have a motion for approval of the agenda?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Next, overnight field trip request. Ms. Scholler?
Thank you, Dr. Dobney. The board has already approved the Currituck County High School golf team regionals that were held on May 6th and 7th. Also, the Currituck County High School ROTC will be attending Citadel Leadership School in Charleston, South Carolina. That's June 11th and 12th. Currituck County High School football camp at UNC Pembroke campus. That'll be June 11th through the 13th. The ACE Academy at Elizabeth City State University, there's a boys camp and a girls camp. That is the aviation camp that you've heard us talk about. We're very excited about that. We have 20 students attending. And I just want to mention, too, that we have acquired funding from the Masonic Lodge, $1,000. I believe, Sandy might have to help me. Is that correct? And also $500 from Currituck Kids to help fund that. And we've been able to come up with the rest of the funding so those students will be able to attend free. It's a week-long camp with field trips, hands-on experience in the aviation industry, and so we're very excited about that. Also, the Currituck Middle School Cheer Camp at NCSU campus, that's July 23rd through the 26th.
Do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Next item, new video introduction for board meetings. Hope Childree, senior at J.P. Knapp Early College.
Dr. Dobney, I'd just like to take the opportunity to introduce Hope. I know that she came before you during a work session, but I wanted to reintroduce her to you. I've had the pleasure of working with her, but I will have to say that most of the lion's share of work has been done by Hope under the guidance of Deb Embry. She's completed a video that she'd like to share with you. She's going to give you a little introduction, but as part of an internship. And again, we're very thrilled to be able to offer these kinds of opportunities to our students. So here's Hope.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I worked alongside Deborah Embry, Sandy Kinzel, and Donna Talbert to create an introduction video that will play before every Currituck Schools news segment for local cable channels. It is a 30-second long video that includes every school in the district, as well as miscellaneous pictures of students and faculty in Currituck schools. I will also be making an extended version of this video, and this version will include and identify each Board of Education member and will be played before every board meeting that is broadcasted on cable. So here is the introduction video.
That is great. How long did it take you to do that?
Well, to edit it only took a couple of days, but it took a couple of months to gather photos and just to get everything ready for editing.
And you say you did this as part of an internship?
Yes, for J.P. Knapp Early College.
Oh, okay. Great. You did an excellent job.
Thank you.
Just make sure you make Jackie and I and Amy and Karen and John look good when you do the board members.
Photoshopping.
Because that could be a chore when it comes to me and Jackie.
If I can brag on Hope for a minute, Hope's going to be attending UNC Wilmington in the fall, where she is planning on majoring in film and film studies while she's there. So this is something she's done for us all along the way, but it was exciting to have her have the opportunity to be able to showcase it on a much larger audience. So we're awfully proud of Hope.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much, Hope. Okay, next, student school board member reports. Jonathan?
Yes, sir. Relay for Life took place on the weekend of April 27th. It was a grand success for the community, so thanks to all those who helped with support and participation. Moyock Middle School, last week they had their annual spring band and chorus concerts. A few students were chosen to participate in the all-district band team, so congratulations to them. Also at Moyock, they will have their Spring Sports Awards ceremony this Thursday, beginning at 6:30. At the high school, some student acknowledgments include Emily Faust, Aaron Remashewski, and Ashley Cleveland were accepted into the North Carolina School of Science and Math. so they will attend their junior and senior years at this prestigious school. Savannah Litton was accepted into the North Carolina School of Arts based on her trumpet edition, so her senior year will be spent there. AP exams have been taking place for the past week and will conclude Wednesday. The high school underclassmen recognition ceremony will be this Thursday, May 17th at 7 p.m. On May 30th, the Spring Sports Awards banquet will be at 6 p.m. And then on May 31st, the Spring Band and Chorus concert will start at 7. Also, don't forget to vote for Harry Ferguson, our baseball pitcher, as the NC No Split All-Star of the Year at sportsflash.com. And lastly, I would just like to say thank you to our senior student board member, Chelsea Heflin. She has set a great example for me. And once again, just thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Chelsea?
First of all, I'd like to say thank you to the board and Miss Scholler and Miss Jones and Miss Kinzel and Miss Newbern, and the list goes on because there's a ton of amazing people that I've gotten the opportunity to work with, and I'm so honored that I've gotten to have the experiences that I've had on the board from the first trip I took with Miss Newbern and Dr. Doyle to Fayetteville from all the way until now, and I just really appreciate all the wonderful opportunities all of you have given me and the opportunity to work with all of you and learn from you.
Great. Thank you.
On a lighter note, June 8th is graduation.
That's a light note?
A very light note. And that will be at the high school at 7 p.m. And an even lighter note, this Saturday is prom. That will also be at the high school. Senior recognition night is May 24th at 7 p.m. Baccalaureate is June 3rd. And the senior picnic, I believe, is May 30th. And our underclassmen are also getting recognition too. On May 22nd, our freshmen are holding their student-led conferences from 4 to 7 p.m. And at JP Knapp, just a reminder, their graduation is May 25th, and everyone should very much go support the Spartan community because their graduating class is awesome. They have their underclassmen awards ceremony Wednesday night in the gym with a student and faculty basketball game in the gym to follow. I already said that. Jeez. High school exams for them are May 17th, 18th, 21st, and 22nd, with the last day of school being on May 22nd. And their senior recognition night, did I include that already? No. Is May 17th at 7 p.m. at the Extension Center. And also, so I don't forget, I mentioned at the last board meeting how all the seniors will be wearing red this year and how the honor grads would be standing out with this. I don't know if you can see it, but this is the debut of our new honor stoles. And hopefully I will proudly be wearing one.
Hopefully.
But thank you.
Thank you, Chelsea. Now we'd like to present you with a plaque and some recognition. Would the board members please come down front? We'd like to present Chelsea with this plaque recognizing her for outstanding service as a student school board member. And the plaque says, presented to Chelsea Heflin, student board member from 2010 through 2012, in appreciation for proudly serving and representing the students of Currituck County Schools. Presented by the Currituck County Board of Education, May 14th, 2012. Thank you very much, Chelsea. You want a group picture?
Please. Makes it easier to submit when everybody. Yes. How about front and center? Thank you. Everybody's smiling.
I think the board would agree we're going to miss Chelsea's smile and upbeat personality. Thank you once again for serving. Okay, next item. Oh, we need action on. No, we put that aside. Excuse me. Next item: proclamation for Asthma Awareness Month. Miss Edie Etheridge Kavanaugh. Excuse me. Known Edie for 100 years. And student Hunter Forehand.
Good evening. The month of May is Asthma Awareness Month at both my schools, Jarvisburg Elementary and Griggs Elementary. We have approximately about 70 students with asthma. And I'm going to let Hunter Forehand, who is a 5th grade student at Griggs Elementary, talk about asthma. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Hunter Forehand, and I would like to talk with you about asthma awareness in sports. 1 out of 5 children have asthma. Asthma is a lung condition that causes your airways to constrict, keeping you from getting enough oxygen. I have asthma and enjoy playing sports. Asthma does not stop me from doing what I enjoy, but it is important to let my coach know that I have asthma and how to help me when I have an asthma attack. Coaches should be able to tell the symptoms of asthma and keep emergency inhalers on hand at all times. At school, I have had a couple of asthma attacks when I could not get to my inhaler very quickly. It would be helpful if teachers had emergency inhalers in the gym and close to play areas. Does anyone have any questions? I'm glad I was given the opportunity to speak with you about asthma awareness in sports, and hope you have a good evening.
Thank you, Hunter. The board has a proclamation supporting Asthma Awareness Month, May 2012. And the proclamation reads, whereas there is an epidemic of asthma in the United States affecting 33 million children and adults, and whereas asthma is the leading cause of childhood long-term illness, hospitalization, and school absenteeism, and whereas asthma affects up to 11% of the children in the Currituck schools, and whereas asthma is a treatable and controllable disease, and whereas there are simple steps people can take to monitor and prevent asthma attacks and effective treatments to control asthma, now, therefore, the Currituck County Board of Education does hereby proclaim May 2012 as Asthma Awareness Month for the Currituck County School System, adopted this 14th day of May of 2012. Do I have a motion that we accept this proclamation?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
And the proclamation passes. Nurse Edie, thank you very much. I'd just like to add a note, Hunter. I had adult onset asthma. Well, I'll tell you how long ago it was. It's when I was principal of your father's elementary school. Then I think didn't I have you again as a high school principal too? And thank goodness mine went away, but I spent 24 hours once in the emergency room with it, so I know just how terrible that feeling is. So, and I love to play sports too. So thank you very much for your concern and helping with the message about asthma. Okay, next item on the agenda, approval of the 2012-2013 Currituck County Schools budget. Kelly McClellan, Finance Officer.
Good evening, Dr. Dobney, members of the board, Ms. Scholler. Tonight I'd like to present the board with some highlights of this year's budget. Before I do that, I'd like just to thank everybody who's been a part of the process. This process started 3 months ago with central office asking for feedback from the schools. Principals met with their individual school improvement teams. We met with the individual departments and then spoke with the individual board to get priorities to build this budget. And as Mr. Board Member Jackie Simmons stated last board meeting, I think that our staff and the public are going to be very well pleased with this budget. In a year where most school districts are sharp cuts in their budget, we're actually able to add back instructional and support services. And the only way we've been able to do that is by the cost-saving measures we've put in place over the last 18 months, and then some of the cost-saving measures we did before that. Some of those measures include restructuring the transportation department. By doing that, we've been able to save more than $200,000 locally and also add additional revenue of state revenue of $150,000 to $200,000 a year by restructuring the transportation department. Also, through a little bit of shared sacrifice with energy savings, by bumping our set points at the schools by 1 or 2 degrees, we've been able to save more than $200,000 this year. And by being able to do that, we've been able to add more than $400,000 of local funds to the budget, plus the cost savings we've had in prior years. We've been able to put $700,000 of fund balance in this year to replenish some loss of federal funds that we have. Just to mention some of the things that we're able to do this year, the number one priority we heard from the school was to restore hours and days back to the teacher assistant schedule, so we've been able to do that. We're also adding months of employment back to the guidance counselors at the high school, also adding months of employment back to the assistant principals at the secondary schools. That includes both middle schools and the high school. We've been able to add a new guidance counselor for the elementary schools. We've been able to add another part-time nurse. We've been able to add a new assistant principal for JP Knapp Early College. We've been able to add an attendance incentive for our bus drivers. That's been put back in place. We've also been able to add another part-time art teacher for the middle schools. Also been able to add some funding for the aviation curriculum that Ms. Scholler has mentioned, and some additional funding for instructional supplies and for professional development. As far as in our capital budget, we are able to replace some of our older vehicles. We're adding 1 new maintenance van, a maintenance truck, a technology van. We're able to replace 1 of our activity buses, and then we have 4 projects that we anticipate to keep our buildings up to shape, using some lottery funds to be able to do that with. At this point, I'll entertain any questions before I ask the board to pass the budget resolution. Are there any questions?
Any questions?
At this time, I would like to ask the board to approve the budget resolution for the 2012-2013 school year for a total unified budget of $35,421,056.
Have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Dr. Dobney, I'd just like to take 1 second to explain to people how important it is and how tough it is to do what our county has done as far as coming up with a budget. It starts from the bottom and works up. Our teachers, our administrators have worked diligently to come up with this budget, and I personally just want to really thank them for the extra time, the extra effort they've put in to come up with this budget.
Thank you. I'd also like to add that from the 2010-11 school budget till now, we've also reduced the size of the central office, and we've saved $240,000 there, which is a 22% reduction. And we also cut the actual Board of Education budget by 5%. Anyone else? Okay, I have a motion and a second. We approve the budget. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Next, budget amendments and transfers. Mr. McClellan.
I come before the board tonight to ask for approval of the April budget amendments. Our state funding for the month of April was increased by $2,164. Our local budget was increased by $2,000, and our capital outlay budget was increased by $34,000. The $34,000 was the additional appropriation of capital outlay funds that was requested and approved last month. Are there any questions?
Do I have a motion that we approve the budget transfers and amendments?
So moved. Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Next, lunch price increase. We need action. It's Angela Rodriguez, our Child Nutrition Director.
Good evening, Dr. Dr. Dobney, Superintendent Scholler, and board members. I brought before the board last work session the requirements set forth for Section 205, Healthy Hunger Free Kids Act 2010. That states, federally states that school food authorities shall establish an average price for paid lunch that is not less than the previous year, and will also include a combination total of a 2% flat increase plus a % change in the consumer price index for all urban consumers. This year, that's a combination increase of 4.18%. This would assist the Child Nutrition Department efforts in meeting the new fruit and vegetable requirements that will be set forth for reimbursable meals. Also, it will assist in the conversion to 100% whole wheat requirement. It helps in the maintenance of our existing equipment because we will be converting from fried foods to complete oven baked products. In our
Is that using
schools.
the solar ovens?
Yeah. I was paying attention really close. It may take a little bit longer. The power hour may not be long enough. The increased overall food costs in general, and also to increase our staff training for the differences that are coming up within our child nutrition. We did come before the board at the work session requesting an increase of a total 15 cents overall, which would bring our $2 elementary to $2.15 and our secondary and high school lunch prices from $2.25 to $2.40. If there's any questions that you guys have after reviewing the information, I'll be glad to try to answer them.
Okay, let me get a motion in a second, then Dave, want any discussion? Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion on the price increase for child nutrition?
Would you be offering anything extra new other than the fruit? You mentioned the fruit in there. Being if it's a price increase, will they be getting anything more with their lunches?
Yes, sir. We're looking at our upper levels, our middle, and our high, offering, instead of the two sides, a variable of 3, a different combination in our main, which is our meat alternate or our protein sides, which also has an increase in price to do that. But yes, sir, we are.
If we increase it 10 cents instead of 15 cents, that'll still bring us into the federal guidelines, correct?
Yes, sir. 10 cent is, they cap us out that we do not have to go above 10 cent. However, the 5 cent, currently we're at a weighted price of $2.15. We should be at a weighted price of $2.30, which includes our lower and upper combined paid prices. If we choose to go just 10, that means next year we'll have to add that 5 cent on to the possible increase of more than 4.18%. That's just something to think about if you choose not to do any more than 10 cent. But you would be within the jurisdiction. The downside is if we choose not to do an increase of at least the minimum, which would be 8 cent for elementary, for our upper level, then what you look at is possible corrective actions during our CRE SMI, which will be tentatively in February of next year, of 2013.
What does that mean?
That means that we could get a corrective action. If we get a corrective action, that there's a 6 cent rule that I just had a webinar on where we will get an additional 6 cent if we pass certain standards and criteria, and one of the main ones is, have we done our price increases as we're supposed to? We're in an average between, Dare County is already at $2.50 for their upper and $2.25 for their lower, I believe, and Camden County has just increased theirs to $2 straight across the board, so we're kind of in the middle already.
Okay. Any others? Who made the motion?
I did.
Amy? Does the board want to do the 15 or 10? Because you'd have to withdraw your motion, right, if we go with the 10?
I'd have to change it, yeah. But if we go, hold on, if we go with the 10, then next year we could have to add the 5 and then
Could be looking at
in
the
addition,
10 cent plus the 5 or 15 plus an additional. It depends on what the 2% is a flat requirement for each year, but the percent of the consumer use could go up. Right now it's at 2.18, but it could be more next year. But you will have to carry over your 5 cent. That's a given. If not, we'll be in a corrective action again.
Okay, so.
I'm second her. I'm leave it like it is myself.
I'd like to see the 10 cent. Not all of it at one
What
time.
she's asking for.
But the issue is though, if you don't do the 15 cents this year, then next year you're going to be doing 10 cents plus the 5 cents.
Yeah.
Right.
You're going to be required to do that.
But I mean, a 15 cent jump in one year
And then
is a lot if you've got 3 or 4 kids in the school.
And the extra 5 cents is because there has not been an increase, I believe, in 2 or more than 2 when this was started, and it's mandated this year to do the change.
If you're talking one child in school, 15 cents a day is not much more, but if you've got 3 or 4 kids in,
it's a lot.
It's a lot.
It's averaged $26.70 per paid child.
$26.70 a year per paid child. So you're talking 3 kids, you're talking, $75, $80 more next year for meals. That's why I'd like to see the 10 cent this year.
And if it's 10 cents, we have to increase it 5 cents next year.
Need to carry over your 5 cent, yes, sir.
plus the 4.
Plus whatever,
plus
the
at
2%
least 4.
plus whatever your percentage increases for the consumer urban, the all urban consumers tax.
You won't know what that is until next year.
I mean,
it could be 1%, it could be 2%, 5%. You won't know.
5,
so,
yes.
Yeah. I'd like to see the 10 cent next year instead of the 15.
Karen?
I would rather keep it the 15 and not have to adjust it
next year.
John, you're for the 15?
Yeah.
Okay. I have a motion and a second that we increase the lunch prices by 15 cents. Well, breakfast and lunch, right?
No,
or is that just the lunch?
It's just predicted for the lunch.
Okay. 15-cent price increase for the lunch.
A couple years down the road.
Before I call for a vote, is there any difference in the reduced price meal?
No, sir.
That'll still be the same?
That's mandated by federal. We can't increase it.
Okay. I just wondered if they were going to change that next year.
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. Okay, I have a motion and a second for increasing the lunch prices 15 cents this next year. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion passes. We'll increase it 15 cents next year.
Thank you.
Okay, next item, consent agenda. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Information items. The next work session will be June 11th, 4 o'clock at the Knapp Professional Learning Center. And the next board meeting will be June 11th, 7 o'clock, right here at the historic Currituck Courthouse. Board member comments. Let's start with Amy.
I just wanted to say thank you to all the teachers. I know last week was Teacher and Nurses Appreciation Week, and as we come into the season when we have these lists of events at every school every night, I just hope that everyone will thank their teachers and administrators for all the hard work they put in all through the year, not just at these events, but all through the year. And just, I hope the teachers and everyone knows just how much we appreciate what they do.
Mr. Barnes, John?
End of the year, a lot of things that's happening. If you get a chance to attend any of the underclassmen recognition, the senior recognition, or whatever, it makes you proud of our kids to go up and see all the recognition they've earned during the year. And what a good job our staff has done, all of our administrators. It's just rewarding at the end that you see our students receiving so much recognition. And wish all of y'all a good summer.
Thank you. Karen?
I'd like to personally congratulate Chelsea, this young lady to my left. She is such a role model for all of the kids at Currituck. And if I had another daughter, I'd love to claim her. Her parents have done a great job raising Chelsea, and I can't say enough about her. On another note, all the teachers, staff, we've had a great year. I'm very excited for the upcoming seniors and all the events that are taking place, like Mr. John noted. If y'all get a chance to attend any of those, please do. Got a full calendar in the next 30 days, so come out and support our students, and have a great summer.
Jackie?
First off, I'd like to say congratulations to our baseball team who won the first round of playoffs the other night. I believe tomorrow night, since we're live tonight, tomorrow night they're playing where, Ms. Newbern? Goldsboro at Eastern Wayne High School. I heard it's about a 3.5-hour drive down, so take off early tomorrow afternoon if you want to get there. The next thing is the intergrade test and the AP test are going on right now. I hope all of our students or parents The kids take it serious because this is the end of test. You need to do well. And last but not least is Chelsea. Thank you. You know, you've made our job, you know, more enjoyable having a smiling face up here each time.
And I'd like to just wish Miss Rory Harvey luck at the state bus rodeo competition. Once again, I'd like to thank Amy and John for volunteering to distribute the diplomas at the early college graduation ceremony. By the way, Amy's daughter, son is graduating. She said she'll need a box of Kleenex. So, and with that, do I have a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.